Alright, we're in the Tiong Bahru estate shooting a scene from Shakespeare. This is our setup. We've got our LED light here, that's it, one light. And Jace has got his headphones with a little juice link for audio, and the camera is with a follow focus and a shoulder mount. So that's what we're going to be shooting the scene on, and yeah, we'll see how it turns out.
Hi everyone, I'm Jason and this is Andrew. We're going to talk about a little short that we made of a scene from Henry IV Part 1, Act 1, Scene 2. Andy's going to take us through what the monologue means.
Okay, so it's a speech at the start of the play, and Henry is a prince, and he's been hanging out with his buddies, Falstaff and the rest, who are not exactly the best influence on him. They're rogues and scoundrels and playboys, and he's decided that he is happy to inhabit that world and be like them. And this is the monologue where he stepped out and realised that he can't do that forever, but that he will continue to be that person until the time comes when he has to step up to the throne and be the king, and when he does, he'll look better than he was in the eyes of everyone else because he spent so much time being a bastard, basically. So this is his thought process coming to that conclusion. The first two shots were the only time we used our own lighting, little LED lights to kind of light the background there, and this was a staircase that we kind of found near our house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty much completely dark, so we had to use something. Apart from that, the rest of it was all using available light in the Tiong Bahru estate, which is where we live. All basically street lights, and it's amazing what these cameras can do nowadays. I'm just amazed that 5 years ago we couldn't shoot with without two big redheads, and
and now still we're kind just of grainy and
you know, there's hardly any grain in a lot of this. I mean, sometimes I had to go up to 3200 ISO for the technical people out there. Most of the time I was at 800 or 1600, which on the Panasonic GH2 works really well. Hardly any grain. Blacks are really nice and black, and
it was exciting seeing the footage, wasn't it?
Yeah. And most of it was all done handheld. In fact, all of it. We didn't bring the tripod out at all.
No.
I used a shoulder rig right at the beginning, and then after that dumped that because it was just too cumbersome, and then pretty much just held the camera and manual focus the whole way. So very versatile, really easy to run and gun. It was just a one-man crew, one actor, and
one wireless microphone.
Yep, very exciting.
So he steps out of the party and comes out, and what happens next?
Well, he gets inspired by looking at the street light, and he decides that he's going to act like the sun does. And so we got inspired by the street light too, looked up at it, thought if we could just defocus that could look a lot like the sun, and just wave his hand in front of it. That was his inspiration for the sun and cloud metaphor, which he uses here.
That wasn't planned though, was it? It just kind of came about.
Yeah.
Using the location around our house. It's a heritage listed estate, so it's kind of oldie worldy with that spiral staircase, and we did want to block out any kind of look at modern cars and motorbikes to give it a sense of being in a removed world, I suppose.
And I love the texture of this tree. It's just, you know,
it's nice.
This tree is right in the middle of the car park. Yeah, this shot, when I push in, I'm on the 50mm lens here, wide open at 1.8, so the focus was always a challenge, but it kind of works, and handheld is fine. We only did that take once, I think.
Yeah, and was that a deliberate choice with the focus, or were you trying to stay on me?
I was trying to stay on him, but he was just, you know, you were moving faster than I was. I was capable of moving backwards, so...
But it works.
Yeah.
for the character's at that point when we're watching it back. Kind of, it reflects his headspace, I suppose, kind of going in and out of clarity. What am I going to do? How am I going to resolve this situation? What's the plan? So look at the next bit.
Yep, and then we use the steadicam. It's the Blackbird steadicam here. There's a bit of rolling shutter effect there, where all the beams and plants are all bent, warped, and this part was the second ending that we're going into.
Well, actually, let's touch on the fact that we did Shakespeare. It's a monologue. It's a theatre speech written however many hundred years ago. How does that translate to film? What are the challenges?
Well, the challenges are that it was never written for film and that it's a theatre piece. And the biggest mistake that people do when they take theatre and go to film is that they'll just do theatre in a room and then they'll just film it. And that's kind of okay for TV, although even that isn't great for TV. But theatre is a very talky medium. I mean, lots of people get on the one set and they just talk away, and you can get away with sort of exploring one or two ideas in a theatrical space and have lots of people talk about it. TV is slightly more visual, but even so, you can get away with a lot of talking heads. And the problem is when you move to kind of trying to make film, it's a visual medium, and it is actually more a collection of images that tell a story. And I think all film schools always teach you that if you can't see what the film is telling you in images with the sound turned off, then you haven't succeeded.
So we broke up the speech into 3 beats, really. The first part was him walking out, seeing the sun, starting to formulate this idea. I mean, he didn't know at the start of the speech where he was going to end up, and I guess the sun was a kind of turning point for him, which is why that shot was important. The sun was the kind of thing that made him think, oh, hang on a second, I'm going to be like that, let the clouds be in the way, and then when it's time I'll break through. And then he kind of jumps up and has steady.
He becomes energized, and the movement of the camera and the focus and then the steadicam and him running kind of reflects his energy and I guess the forward motion of his plans.
And then we get to the ending, which we had some challenges with.
So I first sort of asked Andy if he could gave Andy the wonderful direction of just fall down on this line and just fall to the ground.
It's funny because running was a challenge as well, because you're running and you got to run fast because otherwise it looks fake, and then you're saying this heightened language with these big ideas, which is quite a juxtaposition, and then you've got to find some kind of motivation to hit the deck right at the end when it's the part where he's kind of celebrating, and it just I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And like bright metal on a sullen ground, my reformation. So we tried an alternative.
Well, we tried to run up a set of stairs and to have him proclaim to the world with lots of energy that last bit of speech.
My reformation, glittering o'er my fault, shall show more goodly and attract more eyes than that which hath no foil to set it off.
But, well, I didn't like the shot because it was just not particularly well framed and it wasn't well lit. But on top of that, it just didn't feel right. It just felt a little bit kind of theatrical.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, actually.
And it was too similar to the speech. You know what I mean? Like the physical motion. It was really
literal.
obvious and it was very literal. And so instead, I thought what would be really interesting is if the character is so kind of happy with his plans and so kind of drunk with the idea that he literally just kind of falls to the ground and he revels in it, rolls around on the ground like the fool that he wants to become.
Yeah.
And
it becomes a private moment then,
yeah,
instead of a public.
Far more internal.
By so much shall I falsify men's hopes, and like bright metal on a sullen ground, my reformation, glittering o'er my fault, shall show more goodly and attract more eyes than that which hath no foil to set it off.
And then it also allowed him to kind of settle on those last couple of lines.
I'll so offend to make offence a skill, redeeming time when men think least I will.
So really, I'll be the best offensive playboy I can be, and then I'll redeem everything when no one's expecting it. Rise to the throne and be king, which, could be I'll do this, and then no one will think that this is what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to do, but instead you had the very good direction of just having him lie down and kind of half close his eyes and know that this is resolved,
nice
really, isn't it?
Private moment. There's more resolve in it.
I think it draws the audience into the idea as well. You're not being kind of shouted at. You just kind of lean in and are then trying to get into his headspace. Which is... Actually, that brings me to the music.
Yeah.
Just while we're on that, we only used post sound at the very start with the party to get the party across because we couldn't pick it up. And then at the end there, just a low rumble and a kind of a high drone, which kind of reflects where he's at, that this is my plan, and hopefully it'll work. Aside from that, it was all just the radio mic, no Foley or anything.
No, because we don't know how to do Foley. And it's hard and tedious.
So we were dogma filmmakers,
Yeah. Interesting shot, actually. This one is a reverse of the other shot that where you lay down. You can see that from the lighting. It's completely different light because you were lying down in the opposite direction to the streetlight, on the opposite side of the streetlight. But no one really notices, and that's just kind of one of the things that, if you make mistakes but you have a strong story and you kind of have strong movement, and people are following the story, then you don't notice as much. You get away with things.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah,
getting away with
cutting
things.
corners. Anyway, that was our first attempt at trying to film some Shakespeare. If you have any comments about this little filmlet, do comment below. Tell us what you think about the equipment, or if you have any questions about that, or if you can help us with any of that, any suggestions of equipment we should buy or use, let us know.
If you agree or disagree with anything we said.
Yep. And also, if you have any other monologues that you'd like us to do, or scenes, we're going to be doing more soon. But give us time, because we have to actually learn the scenes and monologues.
And stay tuned.
Yep. Bye.
See ya.